Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and welcome to episode number 7 of Murder Your Bookie, week numero 5 of the 2020 NFL season. In this video, we're going to be discussing our picks on a couple of games, as well as at the end, we're going to be talking about our locks, the lock of the week, the picks you guys are going to want to take because we believe in them the most out of all of these. So before we get into it, I'd like to introduce my co-host. You guys know, if you've been watching every episode of Murder Your Bookie, Lucas.
We had the first losing week last week. It was only like $10 loss. It wasn't like we got killed or anything, but we're ready to bounce back. The Lions kind of are still hard, I would say, and then there's also less games. As of now, we record these on Thursday. We don't know about the Broncos, Patriots, the Titans, Bills, and then obviously there is, I think, Lions and Packers at the bye week. So there could be 3 games off the slate or 2 games later on the slate, obviously, that we don't know until probably Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, we're bouncing back this week. A couple of good spots, I think. But I still think we need more to happen for these lines to get kind of skewed, because obviously what happens is the beginning of the year, we said this, you can attack the lines pretty easy, but then obviously they adjust, and then there's going to be another gap where people kind of overreact to different things that happen. And we have a couple futures too that I think kind of play into that overreaction for the first 4 games.
Yeah, we're going to get to some future picks here. We got 3 to go at the end of the video, probably right before our lock. So I'll begin here with my first pick of the week. That's the Colts at the Browns. I got the Cleveland Browns money line plus 100. Now, this may honestly be an overreaction to the fact that the Browns railroaded the Dallas Cowboys last week, but that's not really why I like it. I honestly think the Colts team just is not very good, in my opinion. I think that Phillip Rivers looks very sluggish out there. Their passing attack looks very sluggish because, if I'm being honest with you, after Paris Campbell got hurt, who really is their wide receiver one? It's T.Y. Hilton, I guess, but T.Y. Hilton has looked very bad, as has the rest of the wide receiver options. I mean, they barely beat the Bears because 9-inch Nick Foles looked terrible in that game. Jonathan Taylor hasn't really done much aside from week 1, so I think this is really a good spot for the Cleveland Browns coming off of a win. This is the first time they've been over 500 in like 50,000 years at this point, to be honest with you. The Browns are on a roll, and I think they go into home at the dog pound and they roll the Indianapolis Colts. That's why I got them money line. And you could take them as well on the spread. I believe they're +2, +2.5. So that's a good bet as well if you want it to be kind of, I guess, safer. So what do you think about the Browns beating out the Colts here?
I think this is one where you're probably better off just taking the underdog, meaning like this game could literally go either way. I don't really have a side because the Browns, kind of the way they've been playing the last 2 weeks, have actually been like how they should be playing the whole time. I know I harp on the Browns, but if they're going to continue to play like this, they're going to be a good team. They don't need to try and throw the ball this time. They don't need to try and create all these plays. They just need to run the ball, and then they need to get the ball to Odell and Landry and just kind of let them do their thing. And that's what they've been doing the last 2 weeks, and they've looked good. It's kind of like these 2 teams are like very similar to me, I think. The Colts are just going to run the ball. They're going to get the ball to their dink and dunk playmakers if they're even playing. I don't really know. So I would say if you're going to take it, just take the underdog or use the Browns in a teaser. Get them a past 3 and 7, because I believe they're 2 or 1.5.
Yeah, 2.5
now. Which either way, those will get you past 3 and 7. Yeah, so you get 8.5. Yeah, so I think those are good ones there. Yeah, I this could be a live betting game too. I just don't have like a super good side now that I like. It probably would have been the Colts before last week, but now after the Browns, we saw what they could do. The Browns defense does kind of suck, and that kind of plays into my lock this week. But yeah, I think it's the one where you just take the underdog in a coin flip game.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not too worried about Chubb missing. Obviously, that's a big hit for fantasy. It's a big hit for the team, but in reality, with Kareem Hunt, he's fine taking a majority of the workload. And that Dearness Johnson guy didn't look all that bad last week after Chubb went down. I believe he had over 90 yards in like half the game, which is pretty impressive. So what's your first pick here?
Yeah, my first one here is it's in the same game. There's 2 different picks. So the Falcons and Panthers game. I think the spread right now for the Falcons is 1.5. And honestly, this could just be moved to money line. I don't know. To me, it's about the same thing. If DK has the odds boost, just take the money line and odds boost it to plus money. But I think this is a game where I think this is an overreaction spot to. Obviously, the Falcons have not looked good, but like, do we expect them to look good with the injuries they've been dealt? Their defense is garbage. So in the end, I'm just going to take the better offense pending Ridley and those guys play and the better quarterback when both defenses, because even this Falcons defense, as bad as they are, it's not like the Panthers are much better than them. Like the Panthers defense just flat out sucks in general. Yes, they beat the Cardinals last week. I think that plays into the spread only being 1.5. It's gone down to 1. It's been back up to 2. So I think I'll lay 1.5, but if I can get an odds boost and plus money, I'll take the money line. And then my next one with this is the over 53.5. It's kind of jumped up to 54, 54.5 and kind of back down. No matter how bad the Falcons have played and been getting killed, they've still been scoring points. We saw that last week. The Panthers can score points. Teddy B's been throwing like 400 yards a game. I just don't see a way where it doesn't hit 54-ish. If it goes up to like 55, I'd probably stay away. This is one where you could teaser it down to maybe pair it with the Browns, something like that. But I think it is gross to take the Falcons, but I just think that they're not really the better team. But in perspective too, just looking at the offense, they're the better offense.
Yeah, I mean, not the Panthers defense. The Falcons defense actually looked pretty good against the Packers, aside from obviously getting scored on 3 times from Robert Tonyan. He was like the only player open on a majority of the plays. The defense was looking good, especially against Gurley early in the game. They were locking Todd Gurley down. So I think that the Atlanta Falcons are the better pick here. I like the Falcons over the Panthers, but this one just seems like where I bet the Falcons for the 4th time in a row and they just end up losing. So my next pick here is going to be the Dolphins at the 49ers under 49.5. Now, I know betting the under is the most boring shit ever, but at the end of the day, the Dolphins do not like to score. What my Miami Dolphins like to do is get to like the 3-yard line and kick a field goal 70 times in a game. Instead of trying to beat one of the best teams in the NFL in the Seattle Seahawks, they decide to bend over and kick a million field goals instead of just going for it. I mean, if we lost, I would have rather lost by 20, going for it and missing than fucking lose by like whatever we lost by like 9 or something by kicking a million field goals. It just felt stupid in my opinion. And I think that the Dolphins will continue to do that here up against another good team in the Niners. Jimmy Guap is back, but I don't think that skews this too much. And I think under 49.5 is a good spot here for both of these teams. Considering the 49ers offense really, I don't know, it just looked kind of sluggish last week up against the Eagles, and you would think they'd be able to smash the Eagles even regardless of the quarterback play. So I like the Dolphins and 49ers under 49.5. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I haven't really like wanted to take any unders, but I think like if you're gonna attack one, this would be it. I would probably maybe evaluate the quarterback situation for the Niners, maybe. Because I think if Jimmy G plays, the Niners can kind of control this game. But if he's out, I think the Dolphins defense has played decent enough to give Beathard or Mullins, whoever plays, some sort of chaos, you could say. And then I think on the flip side, Shanahan's just a good coach where I don't think he's going to let Devontae Parker and the non-existent Preston Williams so far beat him. I mean, this could be a game where they break off a few runs, but like, is Gaskin going to break off some runs? Is McKinnon going to break off some runs? So I think, yeah, I'd say this is a good bet here. I think that you can maybe wait because it might go up a little bit if Jimmy G and those guys play, but I think the 49.5 is a good number here.
I definitely agree. I think that the Dolphins are not even going to try to I think the other team's going to try to run the Niners, I should say. So you can go with your pick now.
Yeah, my next one here is Seattle -7, and I'm kind of like growing away from it, but I'm still kind of on it. We all know Kirk Cousins is brutal in prime time. We all know Seattle's defense is brutal. We all know the Vikings defense is brutal. But the Vikings did show some promise. Obviously, they won last week. But I think they showed some promise in the aspect of they ran a lot of play action. They did what like they should have been doing this whole time. They kind of figured out, oh, wait, we don't actually have Stephon Diggs in our team. Jefferson's played amazing so far. I think he's leading the league in receivers and yards per route run. But I think, I don't know. I just think the 7, it's a big line, but I think in a game that should be pretty high scoring, don't take the over. It's like 57.5 or something stupid. I just would rather rely on Russ to attack this Vikings secondary more than I would Cousins to attack the Seattle secondary. And I mean, Russ is amazing on the spread. I don't remember what it is, a really good percentage in prime time. And I just said Kirk is obviously terrible. Everyone knows that. So the 7's good. However, if it gets higher than 7, I would probably go the other side. I don't know. I think it's a spot where, yeah, you can maneuver it pretty good. I don't think it'll move around too much, but I like the 7 with the odds to push here. And I think they played last year, and I'm pretty sure Seattle like killed them last year, if I remember right. It was super high scoring or something like that. So that's probably like my least favorite one, but I still like it.
Yeah, no, I like it as well. The thing is, I didn't even realize it was in prime time. That makes it even more of a lock, in my opinion, because Kirk Cousins absolutely sucks donkey cock in prime time.
Yeah.
He's actually so bad, and I think that Russell Wilson should be able to easily carry this team. Chris Carson somehow gets hurt, literally clears the concussion protocol during the game. I don't even know how that guy was playing last week because it seemed like he died against the Cowboys. Played anyways. That guy's a vital piece of that offense, and the Seattle offense looked amazing last week up against the Dolphins. And I don't think they're going to look even better against the Vikings because the Vikings have no semblance of a defense at all. So my next pick here is the Rams at the Washington football team. I know this one's like an obvious pick. Money line minus 360. So obviously you're going to have to be betting some serial money here if you want to bet this. But the Rams are going to roll the fucking football team. They're literally playing Kyle Allen as their starting quarterback. They're not even playing Dwayne Haskins. My opinion on that is I actually think they're going to trade Dwayne Haskins. I don't know why else they would fucking bench him and then put him as their third string quarterback. They have Alex Smith listed as their quarterback too. And Alex Smith legitimately almost died playing football. And for some reason, he's now their quarterback too. So I think Dwayne Haskins gets dealt to another team. Maybe he sits behind Breeze, even though I want Jameis to be good. Maybe he goes somewhere else, but that really has nothing to do with the game. Well, I guess it does because Haskins isn't playing, but the Rams are on absolute fucking fire. The Rams have not really besides that game up against the Bills, they haven't really struggled at all. So I think the Rams are going to be able to railroad the Washington football team here. But the odds were, or like the line was way too high for me to want to even take that, even against fucking Kyle Allen, because Kyle Allen looked pretty good last year for the Panthers.
Yeah, I think this is one where I'm going to let the line kind of build up. It's at like 7.5 right now. I'll probably like if it stays at 7.5, I'll probably just end up taking the football team. But I think that not that Allen is a better quarterback. I don't know. They're pretty even to me. But I think that you're going to be eliminating the mistakes per se with Allen more so than Haskins. And I think there's sort of an aspect of, well, one, I don't even know what Haskins did wrong. He's not even taking reps at practice. But there's the whole aspect of like Allen needs to prove now that he can be the quarterback for the rest of the year, right? To stay on contract, stuff like that. So I think that plays into it. The Rams defense has actually been surprisingly good. But where they get attacked is the middle of their offensive line, and that is where the Redskins thrive. And the Redskins' DVOA pass D has been like number 6, which is like, I don't know. I frankly don't know how that's possible with the team they have. So I think this is one where you can take the 7.5, or you could just maybe wait because I might get up to 8.5 come Sunday. But I think the Rams win this game. I just don't know if they cover the spread.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. That's kind of how I feel
Alrighty.
too, if I'm being honest with you. So what's your next pick?
My next one here is the Raiders plus 13 on the Chiefs. And this is completely like, okay, so there's this thing in college football where it's called sandwich games, right? It's where you have a big matchup, little matchup, big matchup, or you just have a look ahead game where you have a big matchup the next week. The Chiefs had that, right? So we think back to the Chargers game where they didn't cover, they barely won. Their offense just didn't look like they were really like trying to make big plays. It's because they played the Ravens the following week, right? They were looking ahead at the Ravens game, the biggest game of the year that they had to win. And now they're back in the same position. They're coming off a Monday night game against the Patriots, which I know it wasn't the Cam Newton Patriots, but it's still a big game for them. They still like to beat Bill Belichick. So they have a shortened week. They're coming in against this Raiders team where then they play the Bills on Thursday, right? Probably the second biggest game of the year, honestly, with the way the Bills are playing. So this is another spot where I don't think they're going to care to put up 14 or win by 14 on the Raiders. Obviously, they can have the backdoor defensive touchdowns like we saw last week, stuff like that. But I just don't think they care less to cover the spread. I mean, I know they don't care at all to cover the spread, but this is a game where the Raiders, I think, have a decent enough offense to where they're just going to kind of maintain in this game. The Chiefs will just kind of slow down on offense. They'll give Darrell Williams some carries. They'll give Darwin Thompson some carries. They'll let Hardman play more than Tyreek towards the end of the game, stuff like that. So I like the plus 13 here. This could move up. I don't know. If it does move up to 14, I'll just double down on it. But I think this is definitely a look-ahead spot for the Chiefs and also a sandwich spot. Also, though, the Bills game, I know we said that maybe Saturday they might play because the whole Titans thing, and they might play on Monday or Tuesday. So monitor all that. But even on a neutral field, I think 13's a lot, even though it is the Chiefs. But I think that the Bills look ahead on Thursday definitely would play into this.
Alrighty, so I kind of agree with you. I think that this Chiefs game may get moved as well. It's just so confusing now with Corona. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like they should just cancel the season for like not cancel it, but close down for like a couple weeks and then bubble it up. But I don't know. I like the Raiders here plus 13. Plus 13 just seems like too big of a number to be honest with you, especially since the Chiefs really looked like shit the first half of the game. Like it seemed like they weren't ready to be there up against Bill Belichick, and then Andy Reid woke them up. So maybe that'll happen again. The Raiders are not a bad team at all. I understand they haven't looked as good as they looked up against Drew Brees' team a couple of weeks ago on that Monday night game, but they still don't look awful. So I like the Raiders here plus 13. So now we're gonna get into, before we go into our locks, we're gonna go into our like future bets. So my future right now that's still available on a couple of books is Joe Burrow Rookie of the Year plus 155. I've seen it as low as minus 115, and even there I would still bet it. Just seems like a lock at this point. I mean, after this week, it's going to go even lower. It's just going to continue to keep going lower. So why not just take it now before it's too late? I really think the only competitor to Joe Burrow, when I told Lucas this earlier, he brought it up, was Justin Herbert. Herbert is the only other player that could potentially do it, but I wouldn't even be surprised if Herbert got benched for Tyrod Taylor when Tyrod Taylor comes back, because he kind of lost his job, not due to not being skilled, but due to like a medical injury. And Anthony Lynn seems like enough of a guy to like sit Herbert for a couple of games and play Tyrod Taylor. So I think that Joe Burrow pretty much is a lock to win this. I would take this a million times over, because unless Joe Burrow was like break his leg or something, knock on wood, he'll be 100% the Rookie of the Year. What do you think about Burrow as Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I think this one's a good one. I got him at 300, then I got him again at 200 before the season started. 155 is still a great number. I mean, Justin Jefferson seems like the only one to compete with him right now, but for him to sustain, I don't even know want to say what he's doing, but him to sustain good enough votes to get higher than Joe Burrow, this is crazy to think, right? Like we would have had to have 400-yard games from Jefferson to even like think about that. So I think if you can get any plus money, I'd take it. I think DK had minus 110. I still think that's not even that bad of a bet. It's obviously not plus EV in terms of like the I guess like the risk reward of it, but I still think it's a good bet that I would hop on there.
Yeah, for sure. I also think that the Bengals, I mean, it's always just a quarterback's award anyways. So I feel like even thinking it would be Justin Jefferson, he'd have to be like one of the best rookie wide receivers ever to be able to win. When's the last time a running back won? Didn't they give it to Dak and Zeke a couple years ago together?
Yeah, it's just tough in general. But yeah, no, I think it was probably Burrows to win before the season started, and that was with thinking that Herbert would sit out like 6-7 games. I think even with the way Herbert's playing, it should regress down a little bit. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Burrow's the pick here.
All right, what are your two futures before we get into the locks?
Yeah, so I have two of them here. So I was looking yesterday, and the Cowboys are minus 125 to win the division, but they're minus 160 to make the playoffs. And to me, this doesn't make any sense, because if they have a better chance to win the playoffs, then that means you're implying two NFC East teams are making the playoffs. I know for a fact the football team and the Giants are not making the playoffs, and the Eagles had a fluky win last week against a banged-up Niners team. So my first one here is the Cowboys to win the division at minus 125. The number like went down. It was like minus 130 to start the year. It got up to like minus 150, whatever. So it's not like you're like getting this huge value boost. But they now sitting at this spot in the year, they're like third in the division, but they all have the same amount of wins, right? They still get 2 games against the Redskins or the football team. They get 2 games against the Giants, and they also have the easiest remaining schedule based on Football Outsiders DVOA. The Eagles have like the 4th hardest. So really, it's coming down to if the Eagles like just don't take this miraculous jump with 3 starting linemen injured, you have all their receivers are banged up, their defense isn't good. I don't see how this is possible. The Cowboys' offense obviously is playing amazing. That will regress a little bit, but like, will it really if they have an easy schedule? And you have to think that their defense has to get fixed a little bit, right? Like they can't 146 games or points in 4 games. Like that's not real. Like that's not going to keep up over 16 games of the season. So I'm just going to bet on the better offense here, minus 125. And due to the discrepancy in playoffs and yeah, I don't know. I just saw that and I was like, I have to take this. And I actually did more research and it made more sense. So I like that one there. And then the other one is the Bears to miss the playoffs is still plus 103 on DK. Obviously right now they're 3-1, but we saw last week what happens when they go against a good team, right? They got pretty much manhandled by the Colts without any receivers, and Mo Alley Cox was like the best player on the team. So obviously they're probably not going to win the division, I don't think. That's implying this when I picked this. The Packers should have the division kind of locked up, and they're like minus 350 to win the division. So that should imply that there's a pretty high chance they do that. So you're taking the Packers, one NFC East team, one NFC West, and one NFC South, obviously, right? So there's 4 teams there. You have to figure out these 3 remaining teams. So I would say it's either the Bucks or Saints. They're both in. So that's another one. So that's 5.
Yeah.
You would have to think as of right now that 2 NFC West teams between the Rams and the Niners make it in. So that's 6, maybe 7 if both make it in. The Niners are going to get their guys back. I think the Cardinals could beat the Bears straight up. The Vikings kind of showed some resemblance of sort of bouncing back. And I mean, the Panthers are 2-2 also. They could sneak in at 8-8. So I think I'm just going to take the plus money here on the overreaction that I think is coming with this fluky 3-1 record. I mean, everyone was pounding their fists to bet the under point win total for the Bears. So like, why now after 3 fluky wins does that change? Yes, obviously they could just keep up this fluky wins, but I don't think that's possible. And you're getting plus money. It's not as like a guarantee. I think the Cowboys one is like by far and away the one I like the most, but I think this one is definitely worth a shot, banking on the Niners kind of bouncing back and the Cardinals or Panthers kind of giving the Bears a run for their money.
Yeah, I agree. The only problem is I'm never betting against Nick Foles, so I will never take that in my life because I love that guy. So now to the locks of the week. I'll go first, then we'll go with Lucas's. I got the Jaguars at the Texans. Jags +6 lock of the week. Now, the reason why I like this game is because the Houston Texans have fired their head coach, Bill O'Brien. Now, this could instantly make them very good, or they could look even worse because they have an interim head coach. There's really kind of either 2 heads to the fucking coin. It's either going to be fucking really good or really bad, one or the other. And the Jaguars getting 6 here doesn't really make that much sense in my opinion, since with DJ Chark, when DJ Chark is healthy, this Jaguars team looks completely different. The reason why they lost to the Dolphins by so much is because Gardner Minshew did not have his main target in DJ Chark. Even when Chark isn't scoring a bunch of points, getting a bunch of yards going his way, he still affects the team because the other team is so worried about covering him. When there's the other guys on the field, when it's just Keelan Cole, when it's just Laviska Shenault, it's much easier to kind of stop that defense. So I think that that offense. So I think the Jaguars here are in a good spot to beat the Texans. The Texans defense sucks absolute ass, in my opinion. They just don't look very good at all. Maybe the team will rile together to beat the Jaguars. Maybe they win straight up against the Jaguars, maybe by 3, but I think the Jaguars will easily be able to cover +6, especially with how good I think Gardner Minshew is and how much Gardner Minshew wants to keep his job and not get his job stolen by Trevor Lawrence, even though Trevor Lawrence will probably get drafted to the Jets and the Giants at this point because they suck even worse. So I will go with the Jaguars +6.
Yeah, I think this is one where I'm going to wait for some line movement because I don't know. I am going to take the over on all Watson props. I'm going to take the over on all Fuller props because I think this is like they're literally just going to like Romeo Crennel is going to be like, hey, you just go do your thing. Go finally play the way you should be playing. This defense or the Texans team, like obviously their O-line sucks. The Jags don't get a ton of pressure. Both defenses are terrible. So I think this is one where if it moves over 7 or 2-7, I'd take the Jags. But if it moves down to like 3-ish, which I don't think it'll go that far, you take the Texans. But I'm probably going to target more props on this one. Maybe an over bet, possibly, but I think I'm just going to target props. But I don't mind the +6. It's just tough to tell, I guess, what's actually going to happen with the Texans.
Yeah, definitely. I understand that. I mean, the Texans, when you fire your fucking head coach, you really have no idea what's going to happen the next week. So what's your lock here?
Yeah, mine is the Colts and Browns over 46. This has gone down a lot for some reason. I don't know why. I think it's because everyone thinks they're going to run the ball, so their pace is slow, so they aren't going to score. But we just saw what the Browns did last week. They put up 30 points, and I think they put up like 20-something the week before. I think this also has to do with the whole Colts defense being like a top 5 DVOA defense, like we said, right? Like the part that doesn't make sense is they were ranked number 1 last week. They shut down the Bears, and now they're number 5 in DVOA, right? So that just shows it's fluky. I think that both these defenses are below average. I think that they want to run the ball, but like the Colts don't even like want to give JT the ball. They want Hines to catch these passes. They want these sort of big plays. Mo Alley Cox, they're giving him the ball. And I think the Browns, they're just going to keep building off this momentum. And 46. Okay, you're expecting for a line that's close, it's like -2, you're expecting a 24-22 game to push. I feel like it's way more than that. I just don't see this one going under. So I'm going to take that. And if this continues to go down, I'm just going to keep buying back on it probably.
Yeah, no, I agree. This one is going to be high scoring, even if the Browns are running a decent amount. they're still going to be able to fucking score by just throwing the ball once to Odell or something. I mean, last week, Jarvis threw a touchdown to Odell. That's how much
Yeah.
they literally don't give a fuck about the Dallas defense. And I think the Colts defense isn't as amazing as people say. My only worry is that the Colts are not going to be able to score in this game because the Colts offense just, in my opinion, does not look very good.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's like it can be good, but like something's just holding them back. And I don't know if it's like because they need to give JT the ball more, if they need a receiver, but like they're still managing to pull these games out. So it's just kind of a awkward spot for them right now.
Yeah, I agree. I like the over 46 though. So you got anything else to say here before we head out?
Nope, just hoping for a bounce back week. Yeah, I don't know. The whole COVID thing kind of sucks. So we'll kind of see how that plays out with all these teams. But yeah, nothing really else.
Definitely. So let me real quick pull this up. Our record up against the Showdown of Sharps, up against the Fade the Public guys. Animal and Snacks, Bagels and Locks, they are 4-4, and me and Lucas are 5-3. So we are beating them right now through 4 weeks. So we need to go ahead and get another winner this week and defeat them in the end. So thank you guys all for watching this video. I hope you guys did end up enjoying. Let me know down below. I always read these comments because there's never as many as on all the other videos because there's just a million on the fantasy video. So let me know what you guys are taking this week. I'll read it over, give it a good old look. I know someone in the comments always tells me their $300 parlay of the week that they always end up winning and that I never even end up taking. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure you leave that parlay down there to the fellow who always does that, whose name is escaping me right now. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another fantasy video. And I'll see you guys next Saturday with some more gambling videos. Maybe we'll even have a sponsor next week that you guys can get on board with. So thank you guys all for watching. I really appreciate it. Check out Lucas as well on Twitter, even though he doesn't really use it that much. He's still on there, though, so you can give him a good old follow. See you guys later. Have a great rest of your guys' day. Good boy.